The rockets look much more developed.
Hey everybody, how's it going this evening? Welcome in. We're on episode number 14 of the Fuzed Relativity podcast. I'm Chris. John, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing. I was gonna say something else, but I'm good.
Good. Nice to hear.
Nope.
Already having technical difficulties this week? That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Do we have you, Kirk Cameron Crowe? Nope. All right, I guess we will wait for him to get connected. How did your week go, John?
For only being a 3-day work week for me, it it felt longer than my normal 4-day work week.
Yeah, sometimes those 3 weeks, they really you think they're going to be good, and then you get into it and it's almost more work.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, hey,
hey, Kirk's back.
hey, hey, I don't know what's going on. But
Technical difficulties to start the weekend. That's, we're good at that. But I see you've changed yet again, Kirk Cameron Crowe. What's the backstory on that one?
well, my name's Kirk, so just it's like a little word puzzle. Kirk Cameron, Growing Pains, which that's a funny name, and his friend was Boner, which I can't believe they got away with. That was hilarious. But we'd always call it Growing Pains because it was so close. And then you take the last name Cameron Crowe, director guy, almost famous, was like a rock journalist and stuff. So just a famous Kirk sandwich, if you will.
Okay, I can see that.
That okay was more judgmental. Oh,
Going robot again.
Mr. Crowe, I think you need to try unplugging and plugging back in or something, because that mic isn't working correctly.
I was gonna say the robots are taking over Kirk. We talk about automation.
okay.
Nope.
No, almost. Yeah, automation talk, we're good at that. And look at that. They must have heard us. They're trying to take over.
So how's it been with you and the new one?
Oh, not too bad. Little Benjamin's doing good. Um, Still not getting as much sleep as we want, so you know how that goes. It's just babies are demanding, even though they don't move.
Yeah. Well, and
Plus,
I was gonna say he would have been what, close to this time of the for the
well,
original due date.
yeah, he was originally due like May 23rd, so theoretically he was only, he should have only been a week and a half old instead of a month old.
Yeah. Jeez, it's been a month.
I know, we were talking about that the other day. It's like, dang, it's been a month already? Jeez.
I don't remember much of May. The fact that it's already June is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I read a story that, excuse me. I read a story the other day that said the Earth is actually speeding up. It's spinning faster. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Yeah. I think it's more age. The older you get, the faster time seems to move when you don't want it to move. Like, and I'm sure you can appreciate this as well, but when you're at work, time just sits still. Like 3 hours at, or a good example would be on Memorial Day when I would normally have been working. I looked at the time and I was like, I woke my wife up about the same time as I normally would. The next time I looked at the clock, it was 6 o'clock. Then it was 9 o'clock, and then it was 1. Whereas at work, it feels like every time I look at the clock, it's only been like 5 minutes.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because in my job, I actually look at the clock the other way because I'm usually working on time commits. And so most of the time, I'm always looking at the clock going, holy crap, it's already 1. So it's an added perk.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, you work a ton.
Yes.
Just the nature of your job.
Only like 50 hours a week.
See, and honestly, I've been thinking about it. I don't know if you remember, but the first career I was going to choose was aerospace engineer. Way back when I was in calculus as a junior.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you would have been in middle school.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, I was going for aerospace engineering, and this week I've just been thinking about it. I'm like, if it wasn't for school, I hate school.
Don't we all?
Well, and the learning part of it's not terrible. It's just it's the time commitment. Because even doing so for those who aren't aware, in radiology, there are multiple different paths. You kind of start as basic as an X-ray tech, and you can split off into many different avenues. Um, Even just trying to do one of those, that the time sink just eh. For reference, I was pre-med at UCCS, nursing at Pikes Peak, then fire science at Pikes Peak, then paramedicine at Pikes Peak, and then radiology.
Well, also speaking of time sinks, uh, so as we talked about last week, I've been working on that wiffle ball,
Yeah.
and I have put way more time into that stupid thing than I'd care to admit. Uh, but everything takes time, especially with the 3D printer, because it's not like I get a finished product in 10 minutes. It takes a couple hours to get each part done. But I also have a lot of
Oh.
time, especially late at night, to work on this. And last week, after the podcast, one of our listeners, my buddy Brandon, uh, hit me up with some information on kind of a revamped wiffle ball, which they call a blitz ball. And essentially, it's a isodecahedron or some kind of decahedron. It's a ball that's not flat. It's got all the edges on it like a hedron. I don't know what you call it.
Here, it's better to
Yeah,
show.
kind of like the inside of this wiffle ball. So I took that information and I started thinking about it. And this is my new design that I haven't been able to successfully print yet because I'm still learning how to design these things. But what I was thinking was when you were talking about fins last week, I was thinking, what if you took and put both mechanics of of that ball into each other, and instead of fins, I put a decahedron, I'm calling it anyway, inside of the wiffle ball, so that now when the air comes in the holes, it's going to deflect off of all the surfaces of that decahedron and hopefully give me some pretty solid movement out of that ball.
And this is one you designed?
Yeah, this is my prototype that I designed.
Well, and granted, a podcast is not necessarily the time to do critique, but um, the first thing I noticed, and for everyone it's watching on the or listening after the fact, I'm sure Chris will put up some pictures. Is the cutout is you've got very thin walls
Okay.
right along the bottom edge of these ovals. Not to mention the fact that I think these fins that you have or blades that you have inside may be a little too thin as well, and we can see, yeah.
Well, once again, I'm still kind of new
Yeah,
to
yeah,
this.
no. Oh, and that's why I'm trying to help you out here, and to for anyone that's listening that wants to try and make stuff themselves. It is when you have thin walls like that. I'm actually surprised some of the blades actually look like they'll print, but the let's try this. This is a nifty feature that Process Slicer has. Is that I can fix it through NetFab, but yeah, it's still the same thing of you're running into thin walls that won't print. And I ran into the same issue with Blender because Blender doesn't exactly have a wall thickness like Tinkercad doesn't have it either, but yeah, now that you've given me this idea, I think we can work with it.
Perfect. Because yeah, it was like I said, it's it's a little bit of trial and error on the Tinkercad, but uh, the design I had before this was actually pretty good. I tried doing fins on that one, and it actually turned out like far from PLA not being a very good uh, wiffle ball material. I actually got quite a bit of movement out of that ball because uh, I was throwing into a net just to keep it from breaking, and I ended up missing my net and hitting the fence because the ball took a nice left turn for me. So it's working the way that I want it to. I just have to be able to perfect it.
Yeah, and that's the key to everything is just trial and error, and that's why I like 3D printing so much. Is you can do fast revisions. Like if you uh where was I going to go with this? Like if you wanted to try and make this ball for yourself, the traditional way, you'd have to pay someone to make a mold, and you know all of that, which would be very costly. And then if it turned out it just didn't work, then you'd have to go back and pay for another mold. And with 3D printing, if it doesn't work, tweak it, try it again. That's how I ended
Yeah.
up with so many of those Galaxy cups.
When I ordered some PETG to see if that changes my outcome
I did it again.
on see if that changes the outcome on my finished product. I don't know that it's going to change it too much, but it's worth a shot because the PLA, if it hits anything that's remotely tough, it just breaks.
See, and that's why I wanted to try one myself, because I think the key there is either going to be a good infill pattern or thicker walls.
Um, yeah, it's hard to say um, how that would do just because of the weight of it. Like there's some a fine line between the weight in the ball and how much movement you can get off of it. So I think it'll just be worth playing around. And if you can help me with this design that I'm working on currently, we might be able to come up with a happy medium.
Well, and that's the key thing about it is you're going to be adding things to make the wind or the air move the ball outside of just the holes. I know it's just which is how I'm assuming regular wiffle balls do it is they're light and any movement of the wind can drastically change their thing. If you're actively adding things that will change the pattern, I think being a little bit heavier isn't going to affect it all that much. And we're talking all the. I mean, if that ball that you sent me printed, it would be 49 grams total.
Something like that, yeah.
And just out of curiosity, do you know off the top of your head how heavy a regular wiffle ball is?
Not a clue. I could look it up.
That's what I was doing too, but
we don't have to spend all our time on the wiffle ball, but it's just something that I'm working on and something that I'm finding relatively exciting at this moment. Also, I'm getting a pretty good. I actually bought a wiffle ball just to play around with it, and they're really fun. You get a lot of movement out of those things, and you can throw some really fun pitches with it.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, it'll be interesting if we can get something working that that can do some fun stuff.
Well, we kind of talked about it, and we had a kind of a hodgepodge show set up today because of unfortunately I wasn't ready and John wasn't ready, and Kirk Cameron Crow is actively trying to get reconnected to the podcast, but he's having a hard time with it. So, what do you got going on this week, John? Something to talk about?
Other than you've took me back into my addiction, that is RimWorld. I was telling him before the podcast that there was a reason why I stopped playing. The game came out, or I probably bought the game in 2017 and put close to 2,200 hours into it. Now, that's not entirely accurate because a lot of the times I just leave the game running overnight, or not running, but minimized overnight, and that gets tracked into the hours, but it's still a game I have to actively try and avoid when I get playing it again because it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours. What's the remind me again, what's the what's the point of that game again?
It's cowboys in space, essentially, just trying to survive.
Oh, sounds like.
Did we lose Chris too?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. You almost roboted out like Kirk did.
What is going on with the Discord this week?
It's probably not happy because we don't pay for it. I doubt that, but you know.
Or we just talk a lot of crap about robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything new with Ingenuity?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, Ingenuity is getting ready for its 7th flight. They said that I think they have it scheduled for tomorrow. They want to try and do the 7th flight. And they're going to try and send it to another landing zone that they haven't seen, only from the reconnaissance orbiter that they have, which told them that it was a relatively safe place to send it. And so they're trying to get it to go up and fly over there. I think it's 350 feet is the distance of the flight. And they didn't say whether or not they actually fixed the problems from last week, which was the down camera losing feed, which caused it to kind of wig out a little bit. So it'll be curious to see if it actually makes it all the way over there.
I would assume it's going to get over there no problem. Like
I would imagine
one little
NASA
error
wouldn't.
on the
Go ahead, John. No, but I don't think NASA's gonna let it fly unless they think it's gonna successfully go. Otherwise, they're not trying to crash this thing.
Sorry about that. I was like, why is the desktop audio thing going and I can't hear anything? Guess I'm having audio issues too.
All right, so
I just muted my computer,
yeah,
as one does.
Kirk's having problems still.
Oh,
Oh, hey. He might be muted. Oh,
Right there, ta-da!
ta-da!
I say a boom shakalaka was heard around the world.
We have Kirk back.
Well, what did I miss? What were we talking about?
Well, we talked about my wiffle ball. And then we discussed briefly about the next helicopter flight on Mars. And then you popped back in.
Okay, all right.
So we've been kind
Well,
of just mixing it up a little bit because we didn't have the most preparation this week. So we're just kind of chatting about things that we want to talk about.
Okay. Well, can I chime in with my? Because like I had an idea for. I'm stoked to see concerts again, like just the Kirk Cameron Crow. Like, it got me thinking about rock concerts and just sort of. I miss that vibe of 14,000 people really excited to go see something. You know what I mean? Just because everybody's so on their computers and blah blah blah, but just there's that live experience that I don't think you get other places. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're going to like watching a stand-up special on your phone with earphones by yourself isn't going to be as fun as going out and being surrounded by like because the laughter is contagious and just that vibe. You guys know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Sure.
Well, when we were talking about this, I want to say you were with me when we went to the Fear Factory concert, Chris.
Yeah, we went to 2 of them.
Yeah. Remember the one where we were just sitting there drinking beer at the table and the heavy metal band was going and the guys next to us were like, why aren't you getting into this?
Oh, yeah. I think the guy.
Oh, it's because I was almost falling asleep. That's what it was.
Yeah, we were because the band was so terrible, but the people next to us were way into the band, and they were trying to convince us that was a good band, and we were like,
Yeah.
say what you want, but this band sucks.
That's funny. Well, or like if it was more of a mosh pity, like, could you see people getting amped up, almost like they were stretching for a sporting event? You know what I mean? Could you see them getting amped up?
Oh, because we went. The one that we went to. What's that tiny? The tiny.
That was the Ogden.
Was
the
the
tiny
Ogden one? Yeah, and then the other one was World Arena. Not World Arena.
Fillmore. No, it was the Fillmore, and that was. There was 2 funny stories from that one. I think that was the one they were playing with Slipknot, which was kind of fun.
Which we left early because neither one of us really liked Slipknot at the time.
And I'm 100% certain that it was the first time that me and you had gotten contact high at a concert. Because
quite possibly.
Yeah, we weren't
You're just
pot,
surrounded by it. You had
Oh,
no
it
choice.
was
Yeah.
everywhere.
and we
Was it
weren't we weren't pot smokers, so we had no idea.
Yeah.
But we ended we ended up so like we ended up leaving the show, and we go to this gas station, and I bought like the biggest bag of chips and the biggest cookie that I could
Right?
find.
Of course.
I think we spent like $25 or something stupid just buying like junk at the convenience store. And I think that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, crap. We're high.
Yeah, like you know what? But at least clearly you were not so high you didn't recognize it. So,
Oh no, it was.
But my favorite story from this, and just for reference, I'm a little bit of a bigger dude. John's, I don't know, a little taller than me, like 6'2", but he's
No,
fairly.
I was 6 flat, but
Well,
back then I was what, maybe 140.
so he was a
bean
skinny,
pole, a
Yeah,
bean
skinny,
pole.
skinny little rail, and we're at this concert, and I think it was Chimera was the band, and the dude, like, really fun actually. He split the floor, because the Fillmore is just one big floor basically, and so he goes, I want a path down the middle of this floor, and so everybody starts like crunching up to one side or the other, and there was basically like a 4-foot gap right down the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all right, on the count of 3, I want to see the left side of the room kick the shit out of the right side of the room.
Oh God!
And he's like, does his metal 1, 2, 3, and dude, the whole floor just erupted into this giant mosh pit. And of course, I look over and John's laying on the ground. And so I pick him up, and then I turn around and he's on the floor again. I'm like, oh my God, dude, we got to get out of here because you can't stay up.
Granted,
Yeah, you don't want to be. It seems like the ground around a mosh pit would be one of the worst places to be. You're just so kickable. But isn't there like a creed? Isn't there like a mosh pit creed? Like once a dude's down, you don't. Isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but there was people that were helping us get out of there.
Okay, good. It seems like there'd be a caring and there'd be some weird assholes, but I imagine the majority, because they remember that, they've been down, so they get it.
Problem is when you have that big of a mosh pit, it's chaos. So everybody was kind of just like, what's going on?
Just anarchy.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was fun, and just thinking about that kind of makes me want to go back to a concert. So.
Well, and what, because okay, so just expanding on the concert thing, throwing out this theory, because I've seen a lot of amazing, I don't know, virtuoso, Eric Clapton is any other instrument, he'd be wearing a tuxedo. He's good. But I think being in the presence and seeing it live, almost the amount of good guitar I've absorbed, I think it sinks in. And then when I'm guitar playing, what do you think about that theory? Just by, hearing it on CD is one thing, but actually absorbing it in person, I think there's more of a connection. Am I going way hippie, or are you guys yay, nay?
No, I think you're spot on, because remember our first concert, Chris?
Saliva, I think.
Yeah, it was at the, I can't remember the name of the place, that weird...
Oh, that was the Colorado Music Hall,
yeah.
I think is what they call it.
It was Saliva, Systematic, and Stereo Mud.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But I think both of us got into wanting to do guitar after that.
Well, I did.
Hey, I did too.
Yes. Maybe
I wasn't good.
I just stuck with it clearly me and Kirk recorded the intro and outro music for our podcast, but we're still waiting. We're trying to do. I still want to do a 3D printed guitar. So whenever you want to get that started, let's do it.
Oh, that's right. I was gonna try and do a fiddle first.
Oh, fiddle? Nice. That's very Colorado.
No, not
Because like
fiddle.
I think that's why during the pandemic I got a dobro, just because I'd been in Colorado for 5 years and I hadn't grown a beard. So like it was just like it was if you're not growing a beard, you got to get some sort of bluegrass instrument. I'm like, all right, Colorado.
Oh, I meant
So Kirk,
violin.
since oh, same.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about it, you were telling me that you've been doing a couple open mics these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I checked out a couple on the sort of I guess I'm on the west side, I guess. Like Wheat Ridge area. And there's a lot of comics. Like one of the shows, I swear had about 30 comics signed up. So it was just a lot of people doing it. So, and I had a fun one the last time, and there's only three people. That's how, but I connected with those three people. Like it's like right, I only have two people now, so three people. I was like, whoa, you guys aren't Chris and John. But
Sure.
no, it was just fun. It was fun just to because like the kid in front of me, he did this couple school shooting jokes, and he just did stuff, and it was like this. It, it wasn't landing, and I was just like, it was like a dark TED talk. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, ugh. And I was like, hey, I got jokes, and they seem to. I actually go, do you guys want to go to Joketown with me? And the three people were like, yay! So it was like cool, and I don't know, that was fun.
Well, that's cool. It must be nice to get up and do some comedy in front of people again.
Yeah, just yeah, the little connections and I don't know. It's just it's fun. People are more fun in person. That's what people interact with people and they're a lot more polite when you can see them. So it's like people are nicer when they get away from their computers, which is an odd thing to say while recording a podcast on a computer. So fuck you guys.
I do like that. People are more fun in person.
Some,
There's-
most
yeah,
people
they're
are more
not.
fun in person.
They're just more engaged. You know what I mean? They might actually. I don't know. They're. Hopefully, they're not staring at another device in front of you, and you can have a conversation. I think that I don't know. Just that's what I think I missing about concerts. Really, just kind of bopping around a sea of people that are. You know what I mean? Like you go to like a concert like where everybody likes this, or like just a jam band. It's just like it's not a lot of frat boy douchebags who are looking to pound people for spilling their beer. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's the low percent. It's nice. I like the places that there's a low percentage of asshole.
I think most people would one up that statement. So, did you have anything this week for your corner, Kirk? Should we go check it out and see what's going on over there?
Oh yeah. I did have something.
I haven't changed anything again. I'm gonna switch over and then I'll be right back.
Okay. We're going to have to get on John because that cheese has got to be really moldy by now.
Yeah, and I don't know that honestly, that goose just has the stare of a killer. It just gives me the creep. I don't trust it. Like it's just like Misery with Cassie Bates. Like that's what like it's gonna bash your ankles with sledgehammers.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, geese are
Yeah.
jerks.
But anyway, so here's the thing. I you guys TED Talks, right? You know what TED Talks are?
Yep.
Okay, so I stumbled upon something. They're reaching out because it's ever competitive to get the younger and younger people. Like they're not getting educated. So I stumbled onto something, and it's toddler TED Talks. So it's for by toddlers for toddlers TED Talks. So I wrote down the transcript because I'm not smart with technology. So here's the transcript. So I'll read. So I'm an adult, but this is a toddler. So you guys get the premise?
Got it.
Perfect. Okay. So the first one here is doggies. Sometimes they bite you, sometimes you bite them. Doggies pretend they outrank you, but they do not. Those people like you better because they made you. So that's just a little inspiration, just a little TED talk about doggies.
I like it.
Hold your applause to the end. And
Yes.
then, all right. Well, yeah. How about this? Oh, how about this. Okay, this TED talk. This is a good one. Naps. Why do we keep fighting them? My chart clearly shows 100% of children napping aren't throwing a tantrum, but 100% of tantrum throwers aren't napping. Naps are good. Naps are great. Just don't allow mom or dad to get one. Not on my watch.
Truth.
Yeah.
Come on, right? It's somehow they get to sleep, but you don't. Somehow it's like some I don't know, torture treatment. That's like this is military stuff. They're gonna start blasting Pantera records 24 hours a day to drive you out even more, right?
If you wanted to be amused, Kirk, just watch a couple with a newborn just to see how goofy and like sleep deprived.
They're like punch drunk. You're like it's almost like you're drunk, but you're not because you're just not getting the sleep, right?
I mean, you get some sleep, but it's not what you're used to, and you are tired.
Okay. Well, okay. How about this one? This one. So the next TED Talk one is okay. That was the day I had to admit to myself, I am a thumb sucking addict. I needed help. I tried to use the patch. I almost starved. I tried to ease myself off with the pacifier. I'd always go back to the thumb. Either righty, lefty, it didn't matter. I was just addicted. Who has two thumbs and loves to suck them? This guy. My thumbs are pointed at me. My thumbs are pointed at me, by the way, in case you didn't know. I never got picked up hitchhiking because I couldn't. They couldn't. I was all right. So. All right, two more, and then we can move on. But okay, so another TED Talk toddler. TED Talk is cookies. Where? I want a cookie right now. I need a cookie right now. Spinning, slobbering tantrum ensues. And then I have parentheses 45 minutes later. So I'm going to throw a tantrum for 45 minutes. So just hold on. You guys haven't heard enough of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Oddly accurate, Kirk.
Okay. Last one. We're going in a little blue, but no. Yes, I agree. Poopy does go in the potty. But what happens if I fall in the potty? Am I sucked down the potty with the poopy to the land of poopy? They probably won't even let me in because I don't have my ass port. Boom. Come on. Come on. Ass port. That's the password. The papers weren't in order in my ass port. That's why they didn't let me into poopy land.
John, that seems like the perfect segue to your finally new addition to Kirk's Corner.
yeah. Yeah. No.
I like Assport, Kirk. That's funny.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one of my jobs. I worked for a couple months at a call. You would call in and have questions about your passport. So for a while, I was a really expert about. No, you need the 1070, and it would kill. People would literally, they would be at the airport at a flight, and like they took the time to grab their tickets and grab their passport, but not check to see if they were valid, and then get to the airport on this international flight and go, "You're expired. You can't go." And it was like, oh. It was a heartbreaking kind of kick in the nuts of like, oh, there's nothing anybody can do. It sucks.
The sorry, I got distracted and baby caught my attention.
Do you guys have passports?
I do not.
I do not either.
They only say, I swear it's like, it's not, I want to say it's like 35 or 40%. It's not a high percentage of people that actually have their passports. You're not alone. You're the majority, I believe.
Yeah, the last time we would have needed them would have been when we went to Mexico on vacation back when we were.
And yeah, and working there, if you're under a certain age, they go, yeah, they're kids. They don't need, like,
Yeah, we
if
were
if I, nice. Yeah.
under 12 because I was only in 6th grade, so.
I don't really like to leave my little area, so not as
Leaving my neighborhood is asking a lot. So leaving the country is no, not going to happen.
yep. Pretty much.
Speaking of toddlers and tantrums, Chris, has yours done anything remarkably funny while throwing one?
Not particularly. She doesn't tantrum very often, but when she does, she usually pulls the regular old just fall on the ground kind of thing.
So
Is it just sort of a flailing, just kind of legs and just kind of meh?
Yeah, pretty much.
well, see, so my youngest, it was a couple of years ago, but she threw a tantrum, and out of nowhere, we were trying to stop her from running into her room because that's what she always does: is gets upset, runs into her room, and hides. And we were trying to stop her because we didn't want her to run into her room because it was late, and we were just trying to calm her down. She threw her blanket into the air and tried to dive between our legs to get back to her room.
She tried to Macaulay Culkin it.
Yeah, it was the
She tried to
funniest
Home Alone
thing because me and my wife just sat there laughing, and which only pissed her off more because she thought we were laughing at her.
Right. How old is she?
She's 7 now. She was probably 3 or 4 when she did this.
All right, 'cause you know what? That's all right. That's acceptable. That seems
But
like a
it
3-year-old
was
thing.
just
You know what? I support it.
It was just the hey, I'm gonna watch the blanket and tried to run away. I was like, what is going on?
She had like a decoy. She had look over. It's like a magic trick.
Yeah.
The that's the old trickaroo. The old look over here, and I'll
Yeah,
look
but-
over. You know,
I wasn't expecting a 3-year-old to try and
Nothing
pull it
up
on
the
me.
sleeve. You try to get if you get flim flammed by a 3-year-old, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah.
What happened? I lost 80 grand. What? My mortgage is got. Yeah, she's a huckster. She really, up in a coin wearing a suit. She was good.
well, I think we can segue out of Kirk's corner here. That goose is staring at me funny.
Isn't it? I'm telling you, it's like you're gonna have nightmares. You're gonna have like the goose is after. It's gonna say like, "Oh, you had pate one time." Like, no, I didn't. Honest goose, I never had pate. What is it?
And
That's goose liver.
speaking of goose liver, that's a weird segue.
Yeah, I
But
really
it
want to go. I was
it
drinking beer with a goose. Is that what you're saying?
It actually worked into you had mentioned that you sent over to me the story about the JBS meatpacking plants and how they got attacked by ransomware.
Another American history.
Oh,
Shot, plants,
he's
it was
roboting again.
gas.
Yes, he's robot. Okay, we lost Kirk again.
Well, we haven't lost him. He's still trying.
Well, all I hear is like
Yeah.
robot noise. Anyway, the JBS meatpacking plant that deals most of America's packaged meat got attacked by ransomware and had to shut down. And that ties into what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks with like the Colonial Pipeline and cybersecurity. These kind of things have the potential to wreck a lot of the supply chain.
Without
My back?
You're back.
Okay, go. I didn't, yeah, John. I
Okay.
didn't. That's cool. I'm back.
Comments,
John?
Oh, I was gonna.
Floor is yours, John.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't quite hear what Kirk said, but I would assume that I'm gonna look it up here. Once again, like I was saying before, they got in through antiquated systems.
Right, and I think it was ironic because like it was the gas got shut down and then the meat supply. And usually it's the other way around because if you stop eating all that meat, usually there's less gas. Boom.
What caught my eye about the story was that they're now pushing, at least some parts of government are trying to push and make it so that companies that are critical to supply lines like meat, gas, whatever it might be, that they are
Things like water, electricity, power.
Yeah. They're trying to make it so that those companies have to put security measures in place so that these kind of attacks don't happen. It's an interesting perspective into, how can you control it, and then how do you control companies' ability to control it?
Well, and it's like we just need more. John? How can we throw up the bat signal to all the computer nerds where it's like, hey, here's your time to shine. This is the new Battlefront. Is not soldiers with tanks and guns. Like it's people who can program and can. It seems like eventually too, America's got to start proactively attacking people just to show their strength a little bit and flex their muscle. It just seems like we just keep getting hit and we haven't really. I'm sure we've done some, but it appears like we're on our back foot or something.
Well, not exactly. That's what all the white hat stuff is. White hat, black hat, one of the two. I think it's white hat. It's hackers and programmers that try and get backdoors into software and then inform the companies of said backdoors and vulnerabilities. If it didn't, in the report I read or just quickly skimmed through, it didn't say how it was targeted, and I don't think they ever said how the pipeline one was targeted either. And like I said, if I had to guess, it was either someone's clicking on stuff they're not supposed to email wise, or it's antiquated.
Well, can I? Okay, can I just have three questions? Just can I? The motivation for the hackers, is it just it's the challenge of it and they like to pick a puzzle? Is it financially motivated, like they're getting like Bitcoin out of it, or is it politically motivated? Like would you have out of those three, is there one that it's
all of the
majority?
Above.
Yeah, it's probably all the above.
All of it.
Because there is such thing called bug bounties where it does kind of applies to this, but where companies will pay people to find bugs in their software.
Well, and it sounds like Bitcoin to me. Almost at a certain point, it's almost like pirate booty. It's like a way to deal with people that you can't trace it, so it's sketchy.
And that's so the companies that are willing to pay to have, because a lot of these people, I'm assuming, I don't know very much about this sector of the internet. but from the brief glimpses I've seen over the years, it seems like there are the truly good motivated that will give the information to the company saying, here's what you got, hoping for a reward, not expecting one. You have the group that's expecting one.
Almost like a vigilante, like a just kind of for the good of for the practice. Hey, I found a wormhole. I got in, so you should like putty it up.
And most companies will pay when these vulnerabilities are found. Now, there are some that don't. And that's when you're dealing with this type of stuff, it's easy to sell, hey, here's a problem, and they, you get your money, but then, there's people that will pay you even more that aren't affiliated with the company, such as the ransomware hackers. If I had to guess, most of the places that were targeted, or I wouldn't guess, but I would imagine that a lot of the stuff was gotten from people just inside, or that have been able to
insider
get in themselves.
Information.
Well,
like,
not insider information, but like getting into a place isn't necessarily hard if you can. Not or doing something is way worse.
Well, and it seems like they flip the computer programmers pretty quick or something. They burn them out. Like, they're in their young 20s when they're young and they can work 14 hours, and they almost like put them out to pasture like a greyhound, it seems. So it's like it's almost like a politician who then becomes a lobbyist or something. It seems like somebody who did it for 5 years and then would then go. They know how best to hack or infect them because they know the system.
Anyone who builds up a system, especially if it's a decent sized company and they have just one team that's building up the infrastructure, if they're any good, they're going to know at least some of the ways to get in. And in fact, they probably
back doors is what they would call them, right?
Yeah,
like sort of ways to get in.
You're also looking at a good example would be just, I don't want to say it's related to a certain age group, but especially with older companies, there's definitely a lax in security when it comes to certain things. Like,
just a generation going, these nerds don't know what they're talking.
Well,
it's just sort of like the military mentality of needing the tanks, when it's like, no, you need more cyber protection.
It's not just that. It's, having everyone know the computer login and never changing it. Stuff like that, where there is very limited security, and that security is widely available. Like if you have a company,
I worked at Waste. I worked with Waste Management for a bit, and I would, you get emails. Anybody can email you, and then they had these things like, look, these are people phishing. But occasionally you would still click on something because it looked like hey, click on this Google Calendar link to see when the meeting is, and then it was like, oh, that was actually a phishing practice. So it's like, it's amazing how much time and energy they make it to look so familiar and similar, where it's like they polish it up where it's like it looks legit. Just the same thing with flyers, or the same thing, it's another form of advertisement, it seems, that's just gotten really glossy and good.
Yeah, I mean, that's more, not a more complicated way of doing it, but finding if a company only has like one password and one login, and you find someone who was recently fired and offer them money for that login and password, that's usually a much easier route of getting into the system.
I can see that, because right. Well, and just I think corporations, they don't have the same loyalty back in the day of like somebody works there for a while, so it seems like it'd be easier for somebody to be offended and mad and want to seek revenge. That seems like if you treat people poorly, but it seems like if you treat them right, then that would decrease the amount of attacks you're getting if you would just treat your employees nicer. But that's ludicrous. They're not going to do that.
The whole thing makes my brain hurt just because it seems too easy and there's no real good way to stop it at this point. So
Well,
we, have
and
to worry about our meat.
I can give an example that is outdated because it's no longer in practice. Way back when in the hospital that I work at, there used to be a universal login for every computer. Everyone knew it. You had your personal login, but then there was a universal one. And there was nothing stopping anyone from, that universal login and password never changed for quite a while until they came in. I think after the first hacking or successful hack into the system, that they went through and got rid of all the universals and everyone had to have their own personal.
I always hated that, like in a job, like there's only so much memory space I have for passwords, and there's like 3 that I use. So if you keep making me switch them, it's just like you lock yourself out because you can't remember what password you use, and then like that's what's keeping you from working. It's annoying.
I would agree with you, but I also see the flip side to it. Well, I don't on that necessarily, but it does make some resemblance of sense. But it gets to the point where the safest way of keeping all your passwords secure would be writing them down. And then you just have a post-it note with your login information stuck to your computer.
People are going to do that. If it's not already loaded up into it, they're like, oh, this is horrible. I'm not going to type it in every time. Just save it.
Well, see, and my workaround to that has been, just changing a letter or a number until that I ran out of decent letters and numbers, and then I went to just simple. Dumb simple.
My brain can absorb like 3 or 4. I don't know. Maybe I'm stuck in my ways and fuddy-duddy, but I'm like, it's just hard. Like, it just seems like a stupid thing, a new random thing to have to memorize. Just let me use the 3 that are ingrained. I'll just keep rotating them.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I had 2 passwords that I used for everything until shit started getting hacked. And then I started using the Google's own password thing.
which is fine, except for sometimes they're too long and hard and I would never remember it. So
Yeah, that does happen. And then I have to go through the whole process of resetting it.
It's weird. Like
Back me
worrying about computer. I don't know, computers getting hacked. I was a comedian. I used to worry about comedians getting hacked. But boom, okay. Just, you don't hear the word hacked isn't thrown around much, so that kind of stuck in my brain craw.
the only thing that makes me, angry is when you go to reset your password and then you go through it and then they're like, all right, type your new password, and then you type in your password and it's like, you can't use your old password. Well, damn it.
Right. Yep. Don't boss me around, password lady. I don't know why she's lady.
So I just noticed something. It's completely off topic of what we're talking about. But SpaceX is doing a mission tonight.
Nice. I know they sent up some more Starlink satellites last week.
And the CRS mission a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, going to the ISS.
Yeah. And SpaceX is not on Twitch. Oh wait, yeah they are. Maybe not. That's definitely not SpaceX.
I really like seeing watching the rocket launches, which I hadn't really done until now.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that I'll put the link in chat for people that. Oop, that's.
Did you guys used to blast model rockets off with the those cartridges?
Oh yeah, We used to do that all the time. We even had a field where we could do it.
Yep. I like to put the big motors in the small rockets to see how much they would blow up.
I remember I did one where it didn't detach and the parachute didn't launch, so it was like this blue neat and it just buried itself in the ground. It was just thunk. I was like, oh man. It really drove itself in there.
It's even worse when you have to spend all that time to build it and then the parachute doesn't come out and you're just like, well, that was a waste of time.
It's actually kind of funny because I recently, like a week or so ago, found a channel that was talking about building these massive rockets just using those same store-bought engines. It's crazy. Like his was, they were trying to land it like SpaceX.
Not in orbit. They weren't trying to.
And yeah, it's the amount of stuff that's gone on with model rockets in the last few years is mind-boggling.
I guess just like every other technology, it just keeps getting better, stronger, faster. Just like everything else.
Yeah.
But I will have to post that link in the Twitch so I can go in and watch it tonight because I like watching those rockets go up.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
And Kirk, we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to wrap it up here, but I know you had an off topic this week I read the story. It was pretty cool. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah, sure. So basically, because of the pandemic, nobody was flying to Australia because they locked it down and they were keeping everybody out. So the planes that would go back and forth, they stored in the Mojave Desert in California. And what they're having a problem was that the rattlesnakes, I guess, like the heat of the tire and the brakes, so they would kind of curl themselves up in there. So the Australian engineers devised what they called a wheel whacker, and basically it was a broom handle. And so military people are just hitting snakes with broom handles to chase them off. And first of all, it's funny because the Australian people, like they call them feisty rattlers, just because in Australia they have like 23 of the most venomous, deadliest snakes, and we have like 2 over here. So they're just kind of like, yeah, we're used to that. Stuff's supposed to kill you.
I was gonna say they had a whole war against emus.
Wouldn't the emus help out? No, the emus.
No, that
rattles.
They had a war against the emus where they sent the military after them. Have you not heard of that?
No. Why would you chase an emu?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that either.
The emus ganged up on him. The emu population was running wild.
Yes. I will. After that, this is a video called from Oversimplified. I'll put it in the link, and I'll send you to a link too. But it's about the emu war in Australia.
Okay, well, I'll watch that. Okay, so while you're doing that, another 2 quick jokes. Wheel whacker, completely different than Chris in high school in driver ed. As the wheel whacker is a completely different reference. And then when read for comments, Samuel L. Jackson said, any motherfucking thing you got to do to keep motherfucking snakes off the motherfucking plane, I fully support.
I was
come on, creepy. Come on, if a rattlesnake was on your airplane, you would not be a happy man.
It's funny you went to that story. I was actually talking about the rat that retired from sniffing landmines.
Oh, the other one. Okay. Well, you should. I sent 2, so I didn't know which one you were. But yeah, it was basically, it's fun. It's like a rat. It's almost like like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Like he's like strapped to this little thing, and then rats would go run across fields to check for landmines. And this thing, in 5 years, he discovered 71 landmines in, I think it was Vietnam or
Cambodia.
Cambodia. One of those. Cambodia. So, but in 5 years, he discovered 71 things. So it was just a really cool story.
Well, yeah, because for a rat, to make it 71 landmines in 5 years and not explode, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a good batting average. You know what I mean? Like that's a good.
Because of all the jobs that I expect a person or thing to retire from, landmine finder is not. That's probably not the most retired from job.
Well,
especially for a rat.
It's not bad, but after 5 years of service, he said he's looking forward to retiring. He said he wanted to spend more time with his rat wife and eating their children.
Oh, I mean it's true,
yes,
but
the position has already received 400 applications, mainly recent college grads. It sounds better than working at the Amazon warehouse. Okay. And for service for 5 years, he was awarded a gold-plated garbage can. He's a rat. Okay. And when reached for comment, I'm no hero. I'm doing my part to make up for the Black Death. Our bad, guys. Our bad. We good now, humans? We good? Okay.
The Black Plague, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the last one, the rat received Britain's highest animal honors. One of the highest animal honors. First of all, I think the highest animal honor is not us not eating them. It's got to be number one. If you've hit that level, you're pretty stoked.
So, rat able to survive finding landmines. That's pretty compelling stuff.
Well done, rat. Well done.
Yeah. Little clap for you. So, well, I think with that, I'm gonna wrap this up. I gotta once again get back to my newborn. Benjamin is calling my name. He's only.
Do you ever wake him up screaming, crying, just to twist it? Just to see, like, how do you like it? Do you ever thought of that?
It sounds like a nice challenge.
Run it by Tiffany first, or she'll get just.
Well, but if I do that, we'll never know, Kirk.
Yeah, she'll probably nix that pretty quick.
So everybody, thanks for hanging out tonight. I know we had a little disjointed show and Kirk kept dropping out and roboting, but technological difficulties aside, we will be back next week. Kirk Cameron Crow, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, and I will try. We'll try not to robot. I hope I have all the roboting out of my system, so next week will be smooth.
John, a pleasure as always. Thanks for the information.
Yeah, and to furthermore, SpaceX will be launching in about 8 minutes, so I'll put the link in again just in case.
Awesome. I will be
That's
there.
Exactly where I'm going after this.
And John, let's work on that wiffle ball.
Yes.
Give me some pointers so I can get it, have a working thing to put up on the podcast soon.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.
Yeah, have a good rest of your night.